Hey guys, welcome back to the 501st Comcast with me, Rory, and my good friend and co-host.
Well, how are we all doing, guys? And as you can tell, we it's our first video one, but we also have a guest with us.
Hi everybody, my name's Jonah. Happy to be here.
And if you haven't seen our bonus episode, Jonah was my troop of the week, and then obviously we thought we'd ask him to get involved in our 10th episode, and he was very, very excited to join us. So we thank Jonah for being here.
Yeah.
Yes, no, I'm super excited to be here.
So obviously, if you don't have like video, then you'll just be listening to this like a normal podcast. But we're gonna try and get this out on a video platform as well, so like YouTube or something, so you guys can actually see our little episode for a change, which would be quite cool.
Yeah, so basically our episode today we're going to talk about Kenobi. Obviously, it's one of the most seen shows around at the minute, and episode 3, I think we've got a lot to talk about. So we're going to do episode 3 breakdown, but and then we're going to talk about Jonah's like history with Star Wars and his favorite collection that he's got, and then we're going to talk about the sequels, which is a very heated conversation, I should say, in the Star Wars universe, but. And then we'll do the classic ship of the week and troopers of the week, and then whoever listens to us, you know the deal for what we do.
Yeah.
But first of all, we got a debate question, which I had a question I debated a few weeks ago, but we never actually fully answered the question because me and Will, we two, we just like to go off topic too much. We like talking about
We
everything.
forgot. That's
So
simple.
Jonah, we're going to ask you first.
Okay,
The
I'm
question, the
nervous.
debate, it's fine, don't worry. But the debate question actually was, what do you think would happen to Anakin if the Jedi Council rejected Obi-Wan's permission to train Anakin?
Oh, that's a good question. I
It's
think
good,
by
isn't
that stage, yeah, it is a good one. I think by that stage it might have been too late in some way, shape, or form because he'd already been to Coruscant, he had seen the temple, he had met with the council, and he'd got a taste for the Jedi life. And I think he would have wanted to have stayed in that world. I don't think he would have went back to Tatooine and carried on like once before. So I think it would have. I don't know. I don't want to say it would have been a similar path, but I definitely think he would have somehow found a way to becoming not maybe necessarily a Jedi, but most definitely using the Force and having that be his mission in life. I always sort of believe in Star Wars that for some reason Darth Vader is like a complete sort of, as I say in Marvel terminology, a nexus event, something that always would have happened no matter
it?
what would have
Yeah,
went on. He was always going to become Darth Vader. So I think in some way, shape, or form, he would have found a way to be Vader, and maybe he would have been Vader sooner. He was super, we know Anakin was a super angry character, so he could have become Vader even sooner. Maybe if he had have joined the council and got some training, he could have let in his anger much quicker. So it would definitely be interesting to see. But that's a hard question, that one.
but do you think Palpatine's plan would have gone as planned still, or would it just have been completely different?
I think he definitely would have tried. I don't think I think had Anakin not have been in the scene, I think Palpatine would have done exactly what he would have done. I don't necessarily believe that Palpatine based his whole plan around Anakin. I think Anakin happened to be the most perfect component for the plan, but I think he would have tried to carry it out. Would it have been as successful? Possibly not. Um, had he have stuck with just having Dooku or anybody else, Grievous or anybody, it may not have been as successful. But I do think Palpatine would have carried on with the plan that we saw in the films. I don't think anything was stopping that plan. He had planned that for years and years and years and years and years before Anakin.
He was a genius, wasn't he? So,
Papa
what do you
Palps.
think? What do you think, Will?
I think it's interesting because obviously Obi-Wan says to Yoda, doesn't he? He's like, I will train him, you know. And if he's basically saying, if you don't allow me to train him, I'll do it by myself anyway. Like, so I think he would have still sort of been a Jedi in that aspect because I feel like the council probably were like, we can't really afford to lose Obi-Wan and this chosen one, possibly. You know, so I think in the end somehow he would have ended up back into sort of the arms of the Jedi, maybe in a different way than we see in the sort of films and series, but he'd have still been around it, I believe.
I think so too.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with both of you. I think no matter what, Anakin would have still come Vader. He still would have. I think maybe not with the Jedi Council's approval, but I think Obi-Wan would have secretly trained him. And like, but if we talk about, say, like, if the Jedi Council didn't approve to it, do you think like he would have become like a bounty hunter, or would he become already a Sith? What do you guys think?
I think if he was going to be something different than a Jedi, he might have fallen into the arms of Dooku, like like Ventress did.
Yeah.
Because obviously, I think Dooku would have used the whole Qui-Gon was my apprentice. I think you should join me. Probably did a little bit of a better recruitment job than I just did, but
It'd be more convincing, wouldn't it? So
yeah.
I would agree with that. Actually, I think he probably would have followed Ventress's path. I think he would have done exactly you say. I think Dooku probably would have snatched him up, as we know Ventress was once a very young Jedi herself, and then she disbanded from the Order. So I think that's actually very plausible. I like that idea a lot, that Dooku would have snatched him up.
I think that's a good what if. I think.
Yeah, it is.
If Dooku was Anakin's master.
Yeah, I think Anakin would be, no respect to Obi-Wan, I think he'd be a lot more powerful into the dark side. So when it's like Obi-Wan and Anakin did fight again on Mustafar, I think Anakin would have won. Because how many times have we seen Dooku beat Kenobi? Just by his short dueling skills.
Yep.
But having him as a trainer, I think it would be no contest for Obi-Wan, even though Obi-Wan's one of the best duelists. I think with Dooku's training, I think it would be no match for him.
I think you make a good point.
So shall we just jump into Kenobi?
Yep.
Yeah, let's do it.
So what do we think? Let's hear. Jonah, what did you think when you first saw the episode?
Oh, this one was ripped your heart out a wee bit. This was a lot to take in. I very rushed the credits the full way through, but I just sort of had to sit and watch the credits after this one just to digest that episode. I thought it was amazing. I really liked the overall pacing of the whole show, but I really liked the pacing of that particular episode. I thought it was done very well. It just really got me good. I loved it. I'm really excited to see what the show's going to do next. We're already halfway throughout the whole flipping season already, which is bonkers. But I loved it. Loved it so much.
What was your favourite bit, would you say?
My favourite bit's a bit of a rogue one, and I spoke about this very briefly on Twitter, and I might make a TikTok of it as well, that I'm obsessed with the scene where him and Vader are fighting, but it is when Obi-Wan ignites his blue lightsaber and the blue light fills the screen. I can't get enough of that scene. I think what Deborah done and her directing was absolutely phenomenal there. I think if anybody out there has held a lightsaber, like obviously like a fake toy one or whatever, and a light up one, and you've been in a dark room swinging it about, you know that it encompasses the light of the room, and it really does. That POV shot where you're like looking through Obi-Wan's eyes and all he sees is the blade and all around him, and how Deborah made that almost scary was, I love that scene so much. It's such a small thing, but I go back to that scene quite often already. I think it is amazing.
Yeah, I mean it's probably one of my favourite like episodes of Star Wars in general. Like even the movies, I think overall the actual, like I said, the pace of the show, it was slow, then it was intense, then it was slow, then it was intense throughout the ending. And then, like you said, seeing Obi-Wan with his lightsaber in his eyes, you almost feel like Obi-Wan, like you're scared of Vader. You've seen Vader, you don't realise Anakin's alive, and you see him in that suit for the first time, you're thinking, shit. What do you think, Will?
I mean, yeah, as I think the whole start of the episode, I think just told you exactly what sort of episode it was going to be. You know, you see Obi-Wan sort of meditating. He's calling out to Qui-Gon because he can sense Anakin, and you get that really interesting scene of Anakin's arms and legs being sort of attached. And for me, I was telling Rory this, the bit for me that really stood out was when the chest piece is being sort of attached to his chest. You see the two prongs, and if you look at the size of them, they're not just going to the chest and like attaching, they're going into his lungs to actually help him breathe. And I was just like, you wouldn't see this normally, and I was just like, this is going to be a good episode from it, and I loved it. Man, it was so good.
You just see how much pain Vader's in, no matter how many times he puts that suit on. You can just tell how much seeing that shows how painful it is to wear that suit. It's almost like he's happier when he's in that Bacta tank.
Yeah.
Well, Vader's suit is, from what I know, designed within Star Wars lore. You know, the suit is designed to be painful. It's designed to feel his anger, and I think exactly what you were saying. You sort of see that in real time. You know, the suit is not by any means mechanically advanced. I think reading again, the technology is way worse than what Grievous had in terms of cybernetics, and so the suit's definitely designed to keep Anakin in pain, to fuel his anger. One thing I found weird was when they were putting the helmet on. We've never seen it before, and I'm sure it works out fine, but it's sort of, they put the helmet on with the bucket on the top, and we've never seen that before. I thought that was a bit strange. Usually that's the headpiece, and then the bucket gets put on last, and this was the first time we sort of saw it all going on as one helmet, which it sort of was like, oh, that's a bit strange. That made me think. But
it was almost like a completely different designed helmet when you look at it. It's like the front piece of the jaw sort of attached with the bottom bit, and then, like you said, the headpiece with the crown sort of came in and like
already attached.
But
I think it's probably designed to make it look like it's more intense, because obviously with the technology we have now, obviously compared to New Hope, New Hope and Empire Strikes Back, it probably worked better if it did one bit and then one bit. But obviously with the technology we have now, it's probably better. Just maybe in the New Hope the maintenance broke down. You don't know. But the thing that struck me the most is obviously when obviously we go back to, like I said, the will. Like, I've always wanted to see a brutal Vader, because obviously we know in the comics and I think we see how brutal he is. But with Palpatine, obviously, like you said, Jonah, when he made the suit, obviously Palpatine, I've seen it in a comic, but I don't know which one it is. But Palpatine didn't see Vader as much anything else as a servant now, because he lost to Obi-Wan. Because obviously we see in Revenge of the Sith that he's like to Yoda that he'll become more powerful than any of us. But because Obi-Wan trained him since he was a young boy, he knew how to beat him. And like Palpatine thought, well, if he can't beat Obi-Wan, then what's he use to me? Oh, I know, I can abuse his power. And then I've gone into with Vader's suit. It was just so brutally like how much pain Anakin actually is in that suit. But then, like I said, going back to that scene that like felt for me is when I see him walking down the street and some bloke's giving it the big one, and Vader's like, no, I'll get out of it, I'm talking. And then the kid, I mean, I said to Will, I'm pretty sure it was a Disney show, right? I would not have seen a kid get his neck snapped by Vader.
It was brutal.
And I remember I was watching it with my dad and my mum, and my mum turned to me, and I was just smiling the whole way through. I shouldn't really smile when someone's neck gets snapped. But seeing Vader being as brutal as we've seen him in the comics and stories, it brought. I think I almost cried, to be honest, because it's Vader. Like, we want to see him as brutal as we could. We need to see how powerful he actually is, and then seeing Reva's face, thinking, well, "Hang on, bit too much. Like, am I really cut out for this?" Is what I got the impression of her. I don't know if you guys thought the same or.
Yeah, I mean that.
I think
you just said.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, yeah, I was just gonna say, like, that scene you said when, as soon as the neck is sort of snapped, you see Reva's face, and that's literally the next shot, and she's like, okay, and she's the one who's prepared who said maybe you're not going far enough to the fifth brother, and even that shocked her. So,
What do you think, Jonah?
Just for the Reva part, I think Reva up until this point hadn't had much interaction with Vader. I don't think many of them did, and I think this was probably one of the first time Reva had seen him in action, and I think she was scared of him. I think she realized his full potential, and I think she was really realized how menacing he is and how he will take nothing. And I think it sort of harkened back to the threat that he made to Reva when he was talking about Obi-Wan. It was like, if you do this, you'll become Grand Inquisitor. If you don't do this, I'll have your life. And I think maybe at that point, Reva was like, okay, whatever, sure, da da da. And then when they get to here and she sees how brutal he is, she's like, oh, he means that statement. He will really kill me. He will do me in. So I think she was I think she was genuinely scared of seeing Vader's raw power for the first time. But that scene was just crazy, absolutely crazy.
That's what I think. I think in the comics as well, like the Inquisitors don't seem to respect Vader. They think like he's just been given what he did. And I think there's one comic book, I don't know which one it is. I need to read more, but it's, he literally kills a few Inquisitors just to prove his dominance because they think they're better than what he is.
Yeah.
And like I said, when Reva's like, oh God, do I really want to be in with Vader? But I wouldn't say I was surprised, but I really enjoyed seeing Mustafa is Vader's castle. Because I've always seen it in comics, but seeing it in live action, it just shows how intimidating it actually is. If you want to go there, I wouldn't want to go there, to be fair.
I don't think it's on Airbnb.
It might be cheap, though. It might be cheap.
1 star, very hot.
But, like,
I thought... Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Jonah.
I thought for a second when we saw Mustafar, it didn't click with me. When we saw the lava for the first time, I was panicking. I was like, are we going to get a Revenge of the Sith flashback here? Are we going to do... And then it turned up and I was like, oh, it's just the castle. We're okay. I wasn't emotionally ready for a Revenge of the Sith flashback here. But the castle looked... the castle was... It looks amazing from the outside. And then the inside, we didn't really see much. I liked seeing his throne room and like the big window and stuff, but I want to explore more of Vader's castle. They explore it quite a lot in the comics when they go underground, and that's where Vader sort of ignites his red pepper crystal and stuff of that nature. But I would love to see it explored more in live action, because in Rogue One, we just got like a hallway sort of scene when Krennic goes and visits. And then in this, we got his sort of like little room with the big window. I just really want to see more of it because it looks amazing.
Going on to that point that you said about Revenge of the Sith sort of throwback, we sort of get one of our first predictions right that you called when you said you wanted to see more of Hayden outside of the suit. And we get that little hint where he turns around and he's in his sort of Jedi robes that Obi-Wan is hallucinating. And at first I had to pause it. I was like, is that Hayden? And then I was like, oh my God, it's Hayden.
That scene was super. It's really, what's the right word? I don't know. It was like spooky. It was scary. It was really well shot. And I think Ewan McGregor's acting really played up the whole scene. I think he really went for it in that scene of being complete shock and horror of seeing Anakin. And I believed it for a second almost. I was like, oh my goodness, there's Anakin standing there. And I was like, oh, wait, okay, he doesn't really look like that anymore. It can't be Anakin actually standing there. But it was like ominous. It was a weird one. I loved that scene though. I was really entranced when that came on. And I was just like, my eyes were glued to it. I was like, what is happening here?
It was very interesting to see because it's not often we've seen hallucinations in that sort of sense. So clearly Kenobi was really thinking about Anakin in that scene. Rory, what do you think?
I just think like I think me and you spoke before as well, Will, that it wouldn't be any different even with like if we saw the voice actor of Anakin being there. I don't think we'll see how good the acting was with Ewan if Hayden wasn't there, because obviously we've grown up with seeing Hayden and Ewan as Obi-Wan and Anakin. But I feel like just seeing Anakin there, it probably makes it helps Ewan McGregor's acting to show out how raw passion it was. Obviously seeing him there, but me seeing Hayden now, I was like, damn it, this show is testing me. Like, it's really testing my emotions here. But again, little Leia, she does amazing again. I think she's
Love
probably
her.
she's one of the best characters. Oh, we know the character, but character in the show, I think.
Yep.
I agree.
And for a character that we didn't expect to see turn up, or if we did think that, we didn't think they were going to have this much of a role in the show.
Yeah.
She's a new Mandalorian. Just put her in the show. You know, we're good to go.
So Jonah, what did you think of our first sort of Frack? His name is, if I believe, the little mole driver. What did you think of him?
On initial basis, I thought he was amazing. I thought he looked actually really, really incredible. I was happy to see it wasn't some form of CGI. I mean, there was CGI involved with his little tentacles, but it seemed to be quite practical effects, and I'm always for practical effects. So my initial reaction was, "Oh my goodness, he looks amazing!" And but I mean, I really didn't trust him from the get go. I mean, as soon as you saw the Imperial flag on the back there, you thought he's definitely up to something. I just like the whole story point they used, though, of Leia being so young and innocent that she was ready to trust anybody. Here she saw a character coming up in a car, asked him for help, and he gave her the help that she needed, but she was just like, okay, that's great. And Obi-Wan had to do the lesson of teaching her about everything. But I love that whole scene because we find out that Obi-Wan has a brother apparently, and we got a beautiful touching scene with him and Leia where he's talking about her mother again, and everything else. That was a beautiful little scene. So I love that, and the stormtroopers come on. It was a really lengthy scene when you think about it, but it was the interrogation with the stormtroopers, finding out Obi-Wan has a brother, the little emotional vibe. It was a really great scene. I really loved it.
You know what I found out about, obviously, with Obi-Wan's brother, which is this is what I found on TikTok. Someone said about George Lucas that Owen was supposed to be Ewan McGregor's brother, which is like. Obviously, when he said about his brother, it was supposed to be Owen Lars, which I thought was like, okay, but obviously it didn't go down that way. But thinking about that, that could have been obviously Owen, Anakin, and Obi-Wan as brothers. So it could have made obviously Revenge of the Sith quote that you are my brother more meaningful because obviously Obi-Wan didn't know, may not have known. But I thought was quite interesting. But like you said,
yeah. That is.
When you're saying about Obi-Wan talking about her basically Padme was quite heartbreaking because obviously he just knows everything. You can tell he wants to tell Leia what happened to his mother and father, but he can't because it will just destroy Leia, and I think we wouldn't see the character we would see in New Hope and the rest of. And like I said, seeing it more meaningful is just like and Obi-Wan. He's so uncivilized now, isn't he? I thought, what happened to him?
Desperate times call for desperate measures, I believe is the saying.
Yeah, that is a good saying. And then obviously we see the female character we haven't seen before, who's actually pretty much part of the resistance as such, helping Obi-Wan. I think what's the name? Tala? Have I said it right? Have I got it completely wrong?
Tara, I think.
Tara, that's it. Yeah. I think I said to Will. I'm actually intrigued with that character. Obviously, it's quite like you wouldn't. I didn't expect it. I should have expected it, but I didn't. Obviously, she was supposed to be at the rendezvous, but never turned up. And then it's basically just from there trying to get them to the ship is where we see the Inquisitors. And I was going to say, Jonah, what do you think about the fifth brother?
I want to see more. He gives little great tidbits here and there, and he gets me excited, and then he just sort of disappears. I wish he is a bit more involved in the show. Obviously, I'm a huge Rebels fan, so I'm very familiar with the character from the show and everything else. But I just wish there's not much to go off of, really. I really like the actor who's portraying him. I mean, again, similar to the Grand Inquisitor, he maybe doesn't look exactly alike, but I enjoy the performance that the actor's given, and I would just want to see more of him, really. I think he's quite menacing. I think I really am enjoying his relationship with Riva, of him thinking he deserves the role of Grand Inquisitor. I hope they flesh that out a bit more. I mean, I would imagine like a proper lightsaber fight between him and Riva. Like, that would be everything. I think that would be so cool to see. So thing and everything else. Although speaking of too, I was surprised that the Grand Inquisitor didn't get touched on this episode. They didn't mention the Grand Inquisitor's death at all, which I was surprised at.
Yeah, I think obviously I think the whole build up was supposed to be like Reva's like. I don't think she said anything, but I'd expect her to tell a lie about the Inquisitor saying, "Oh, he died," and everything, because I don't think she knows quite well about his species. Because
Hmm.
they have two stomachs, so maybe he comes back in the next episode, and maybe it's where Reva's not going to go back with the Inquisitors. Obviously, with later on the show, she captures Leia, but maybe she's doing it for herself, so she's basically on the run from the Inquisitors. I don't know.
Yeah, that could work.
Yeah, I think another thing that I noticed in the show, which I was really happy about personally, uh, I mean, technically it was a prediction I made in episode 1 of our podcast, wasn't it, Rory?
Technically right,
Technically
but
right. I
but we
said
don't.
I said Quinlan Voss was going to turn up in the show,
Oh, very
and
good.
obviously we get the little name drop and the little smile from Kenobi when he says Quinlan was here. And I strongly believe we're going to see Quinlan next episode.
Oh, do you think? I hope so. I really hope so.
I think
Go on.
we spoke. I think we spoke well, didn't we? When I expect maybe Kenobi wakes up and then Quinlan Voss is there, and then maybe makes a comment saying, "What's happened to you, Obi-Wan? Like you ain't the Jedi I saw 10 years ago."
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Quillen's such a complex character. It's I would my dream would be that he would be introduced in possibly this show, and so fans would be able to see him in live action. And then what they would do is they would go backwards and give him his story throughout the prequels and his whole tale of him joining the dark side and falling from the light and getting Aayla Secura in there. I'm a big Aayla Secura fan, and their relationship and everything else. And he has such a complex story that loads of people don't know about, and sort of adapting that story from, I believe it was the Dark Horse sort of comics back in the day, that sort of delved really deep into his story. So I would absolutely love for him to get his own show, but I would want it set in like Clone Wars sort of era where he has this whole fall between light and the dark, because it's so interesting.
yeah, definitely.
I mean, I think we'll see him next episode. I'll be excited to, and I'll be interested to see what they make him out look like, what they make him look like. Then maybe they might have changed his appearance due to Order 66, or would he keep his same style, shall we say?
I think he'd be much more rugged and ragged because of the way he sort of, his relationship with the Jedi Order sort of ended. I don't think we'll see him in any form of his Jedi gear. I think he's always been a little bit rough and ready, Quinlan. I think he's always sort of rejected the roles and ideals of the Jedi Order in both physical and mental terminology. So I definitely think he'd have that more rugged, sandy look about him. But it would be interesting to see how he does look completely. Although, I mean, everybody always says he's in The Phantom Menace, and I think that was made canon by some comic or other at one point. I can't really remember. So who knows?
Yeah, I really hope we see him next episode. He's a character I like.
And yeah, I think should we get talking about the Darth Vader and Obi-Wan scene? That has I think that has more meaning than we actually thought we knew it had.
I don't think any of us expected to see both of them meet in episode 3.
No.
No, I think I just love the fact that Vader, no matter what, it's almost. I think I said to you, again, I said to you, Will. I think when Obi-Wan ran away from Darth Vader, I think Vader was like a bit disappointed. Like, hang on, this is the guy that took everything from me, and he's running away from me.
Yeah, and we get that, that whole really emotional scene where Obi-Wan's there in the dark with his lightsaber and he's just looking at Vader and he's like, "What have you become?" And then Vader says, "This is what you made me," sort of thing. It's like, oh. Obi-Wan getting hit with all the cold lines this season.
So first he has Sassy Owen, now he's got man like Vader. I don't know what he's going to get next, does he? It's almost like a roast for Obi-Wan, isn't it? This series.
That quote from Leia in episode 2, granddaughter maybe.
Exactly.
I think he's been through enough, but they just can't seem to take. But I think I like the fact that we didn't get enough maybe a lot of talk from Kenobi, because I think he still can't believe Vader's still alive. Like, he thought he killed him. He watched him die. He believed, and I think when Vader was talking, I don't think Kenobi had the words to go, "Hang on, he's actually still alive. And he's kicking my ass," basically.
Yeah, because
I agree.
I spoke to Rory about this, and if you notice the fighting styles of it, Vader is using one hand, completely offensive, sort of swinging a bit like Anakin, a little bit sort of wildly, and Obi-Wan is just two-hand defending because he can't do anything. He can't compete at all.
And I think, I think you said, Will, in the past, I don't think this is the battle of the fight of the century that we're waiting for.
No.
I think we've got maybe we might see them fight again in episode 4 and maybe the end of 4, starting of 5, because I think they wanted us to keep engaged with Vader and Kenobi. They don't want to give us the full shebang on the actual fight, because I think obviously we all know that Kenobi's distant from the Force, and it showed in that fight. And like I said, Vader's obviously thinking, well, hang on, I've been following the rules on the dark side. I've been training. I've been doing everything. Obviously, because we all know he had to train himself again wearing that suit. And Kenobi is almost like Vader probably thinks that Kenobi's just had a holiday hiding away in Tatooine, but whereas Kenobi's just literally been just cut out the Force. He's got nothing to do with it. And then all of a sudden he's asking Qui-Gon for help.
What do you think of that battle, Jonah?
I loved it. I definitely agree with you that at first I was surprised about how little dialogue there was, and I was sort of after the first view, and I was like, "Gosh, I would wish they would have spoke more." But I think it makes perfect sense that Obi-Wan was just in complete shock and he didn't really know what to say. And I quite like the parallel of Obi-Wan running. I think for two reasons. I think it showed how static Anakin has become, and the stark contrast between when we last saw him in the prequels to doing backflips and running about and using the Force, this, that, and the other, and everything else. And now we can see how restrictive the Vader suit really is, and how he relies, as you say, on those one-handed heavy swings, along with a lot of Force trick and manipulation. And two, as well, I think it was a nice parallel to A New Hope, where Vader, we saw Obi-Wan running away so much in this, and then we know in A New Hope that towards the end he just goes right up to Vader and stands there and lets him kill him, essentially. So I think it was a nice parallel between the two, of like how far Obi-Wan has come in his journey of Force and training. Like, and he's like, okay, it's my time to go. I just need to face Vader and let him kill me this time, rather than running away like I did the time before. But I loved the fight, and I mean the whole fire pit was just absolutely brutal. I really didn't see it coming. Like, I was genuinely shocked. Even when the fire was lit, I didn't even still expect it to get that brutal. And it was hard. It was hard to watch. It was, but then again, I thought it was a nice parallel too, as well, because everybody says about how badly Obi-Wan has aged in between the time frame of the point of actors. I think doing things like this and showing that he's had a huge battle with Vader that has probably left him horribly scarred also plays into the fact that maybe it could help with the whole him looking so much older. So I enjoyed the tie-ins with A New Hope this episode a lot. I think there was a lot of subtlety tie-ins, which I really enjoyed throughout the entire fight.
Yeah, it was definitely brutal.
I mean, I think we saw enough. I think we all had enough of Vader being a bit brutal, but that was just the fact that he was like, "You would suffer as basically as I have," and it's just like a little reference to Revenge of the Sith, of like how the reason why Anakin burnt was because of Kenobi, and so he thought, "I'll give you a little taste of how I felt."
Yeah.
But the thing I didn't like a lot about the Kenobi is when Tala, is it, or Tara? She broke Kenobi's promise of letting letting Leia go. I mean, it's a bit silly considering like it's a 10-year-old girl. No matter how smart she is, as like you wouldn't leave a 10-year-old girl to run to a ship, considering there was Inquisitors about. Because I'm sure the Inquisitors would eventually figure out where they're going at some point, because they're not stupid. But all I can say, at least the running was better this time.
Yeah.
I think for me, the only negative of that episode, and I don't know what your opinion is on this, Jonah, but I wasn't a big fan of the loader droid or droids because they were meant to be these sort of non-speaking, mechanical, heavy lifting droids, but you could clearly tell that they were just people in suits. It didn't give off enough droid vibe to me. Like I was watching it, and that bit with the hammer, and you can like clearly see the hand like
Yeah.
grasp it, and the fingers move, and the whole body movement. I was a bit like, I could have probably done with a more of a droid, or even just make it a sort of a like a mute labor worker. Instead of having to do a big heavy sort of droid in a suit. But apart from like, I wouldn't say they ruined the episode for me. I still think it was a
Yeah.
hell of a good
No, I
episode.
I agree with that actually. It was my first thought when I saw the droid. It was my initial thought when I saw it. I was like, oh, that is a little bit too many suit. I enjoyed the overall aesthetic of the droid. I thought like the way he looked was fine. I had no issue with that. As you say, it was just the movements that sort of took you out of the fantasy a little bit when he was moving about. And I think we'll see him again for from the trailer. We see him shooting some form of
Yeah.
gun and some sort of rifle. So I believe we'll see him again at some point. Whether he could be the saver of Leia, perhaps. Maybe he's going to be down that tunnel and we'll be going after Reva and shoot Reva and give that enough time for Leia to escape and run back down the tunnel. Who knows? But definitely he's going to be at least in the next episode, I believe, or not. We'll see.
So, what would you give a rating out of 10 then?
Oof, that's a hard one. I feel like Obi-Wan is a little bit harder to rate because I was speaking to this about to a friend as well. I feel like Obi-Wan's a little bit harder to rate in terms of episodes compared to something like The Mandalorian because the Mandalorian episodes seem to stand alone that bit better. They're complete
Yeah.
stories. Whereas Obi-Wan is definitely, a six-part story. Every story leads into each other, as we know. But I mean, I can't really give it anything less than like at least a good 9 or 10. I love it so much.
Yeah, I'd agree.
But
I'd say for like, if we were giving it a rating in terms of like enjoyment and excitement and happenings in the show, I'd give it a 9 out of 10.
yeah.
I think if the show even if the show was bad, I don't think we wouldn't dislike it because we get to see all our favorite, all our basically it's almost like our role models when we were younger, looking up to
Yeah.
these guys. But I think the fact that Deborah Chow and like the writers and everything, they've just nailed everything. They've given us what we want as a Kenobi show. We want to see the pain and suffering Kenobi. We want to see Darth Vader. We want to see Hayden. We want to see Anakin. We want to see everything to do with that timeline. And I don't think even with the little silly stuff like in the running and all that, I don't think you can rate it anything lower than a 9,
Yeah.
unless you're being petty.
Yeah.
Right?
But
Yeah,
I'm
go
looking
on.
forward to the rest. I'm looking forward to the rest of the series. I think I'll be watching this for a long, long time.
Yeah, so. Right. Well, I think we should get into our guest host a little bit more.
Yeah.
So,
We talked about your favorite merch or anything that's very valuable to you.
Yes, well, as if you're watching this video, you see I have quite a lot of different merchandising, and unfortunately, that is only a small portion of my collection. Um, but I did pick one item in particular, and it is my Boba Fett cap, which is signed by Jeremy Bulloch, the original one who played Boba Fett. And this is just so special to me. One, because the hat itself was bought from Walt Disney World, and it was one of my first trips ever. And it was bought during, they used to do these things called Star Wars weekends, and actors would come and there would be stage shows, and it was all before Galaxy's Edge, and it was before Disney had even bought Star Wars. And so I loved those weekends so much because you saw so many amazing characters and everything else. And then one of my first ever Star Wars conventions I went to, I believe it was around 2000 and I think it was around 2011, and it was a very small sort of local convention. There wasn't very much to do. There was a few actors there and a few toy vendors there, but we had such a good time. Me and my best friend Callum went. We had such a blast, and I got Jeremy to sign my hat, and he also signed a few other things for me, and I have a picture with him. But this is just one of those items. Like a lot of these items, they're mass produced, and you could technically go out and buy them again if you hunted hard enough. But this is something that I really don't think you could ever buy again. So it's very near and dear to my heart for that reason.
I think it's the fact that you've got it personally from yourself, because like you said, you can buy like signed stuff online. I think, but the fact that you've gone and had it signed and you experienced it yourself, I think that makes it more meaningful.
Yeah, I want to try and get some more signed stuff. I have a few bits and pieces about. I have one of these, which is one of my favorites too, which is at that same convention. Tim Rose, who plays Admiral Akbar, and unfortunately you can't see it because of just how the camera is, but it does say on it, "Run, Jonah, it's a trap," and I think that is a really cool
Brilliant.
little souvenir to have. But these are the only two from all the collection. These are the only two signed items I really have, and as you say, having something signed just makes it that so much more personal. So I would love to try and go to more conventions and get more pieces signed.
Yep. Yeah, I think Rory, what would you say is your iconic or favorite piece in your little collection?
Well, for me personally, obviously this is not my room; it's my brother's room. So shout out to my brother for letting me use his room. But obviously, I didn't take a picture. But one of my pride possessions is my photo with Hayden and his autograph. Because obviously, like, when I got there, I was just so nervous because I've never been to a Comic Con event. So I was like, "What do you do? What do you say?" And then the fact that I spoke to him, I felt so natural with him. He was so like he was such a humble bloke. And I think I actually remember saying to him like, "Oh, when's Kenobi series coming out?" And he was like, "Well, they don't tell me these things." But I'm thinking, "You're lying to me. You know, you definitely know." But then the fact that he's asked me for one of the quotes, like, what quote do you want to quote with your photo? I mean, your autograph. And I was like, "So I've got Mustafa, and I think the best one would be, you underestimated my power." And he was just it. The fact, like seeing him then and actually having a photo with him as well, it was just like I've actually witnessed this myself, and I can treasure that for a long time in my life.
Definitely.
What about you, Will?
Well, Rory already knows this, and he's a little bit jealous of this one. I must be honest. And to me,
No.
whenever I see it, I smile. Basically my favorite character in all of Star Wars is Captain Rex. I love Captain Rex. I just everything about him is just so good, and I've just got into collecting sort of like Funko Pops and stuff, and I was very lucky enough
Oh, do you
to.
have the flippin' Funko Pop of Captain Rex? Oh, I'm
He
so
does.
jealous.
There it is. There it is. Now, if you can't see if you're listening to this, I have a Captain Rex Funko Pop, which was only available at the 2018 New York Fall Convention, and I was very lucky to get my hands on it. I haven't even brought myself to get it out of the protective little casing on the box.
Don't do
And
it.
I won't, I can't. But whenever I walk into my room, I smile because it's like the first thing I see. And yeah, this is like my pride and joy in my collection.
And and guys, if you even if you're listening, you could probably hear mine and Jonah's heart breaking right now because it's one of the most valued Funko Pops, and I think I almost got it at one point, but then didn't think go to plan, and I'm still paying for it now. So when I get a chance to, I will be buying one. I'll pay whatever, do whatever it costs.
Yeah. But yeah, Jonah, so another thing that you sort of made a rare was your favorite clone group was the 332nd Ahsoka's lot.
hmm
Now, why is this Legion?
Well, this Legion was a division of the 501st that was broken off into a section due to Ahsoka needing help to go and fight in the Battle of Mandalore and the Siege of Mandalore. And one of the reasons, I mean, the 501st is technically probably my favorite because I would class the troopers in the 501st as well. But it is, I don't think, as an Ahsoka fan, I mean, I'm literally wearing one of my Ahsoka jerseys right now. That's all it's my favorite thing ever. Uh, that moment where she returns and everybody's calling her commander, and the doors open in season 7 of the Clone Wars, and she sees all of the troopers there with their newly fresh painted helmets, and she realizes that she never really left, and they all still cared about her. Is just one of my favorite Star Wars moments of all time, and it's very hard for it to be beaten. And Anakin gives her her sabers there, and she takes them into the Battle of Mandalore, and they have this amazing, huge battle. But it's just one of those Star Wars moments for me that, especially because that was during the pandemic way back in 2020, and when Clone Wars was premiering, I think all of us was so happy to have something to look forward to week on week, and that moment in particular is just so special to me. And from loving the 501st to realizing that a part of them went with Ahsoka in the end and stayed by her was just amazing.
I think the main thing with obviously with Star Wars Clone Wars, where I think we were all gutted how season 6 ended, but
Yeah.
then you see in season 7, it's just like it just made us even more emotionally attached to these characters. And like I said, with Ahsoka, I think that obviously I think we were all heartbroken when Ahsoka decided to leave the Jedi Council, but actually seeing her, and then we see Anakin still like it's almost like disbelief. He's fine. She's still alive and she's there. But like I feel like Ahsoka's trying to avoid that emotional attachment. That's why she's
Yeah.
almost like being a bit blunt to him. And Anakin's
Yeah.
like, "Well, what did I do wrong?" kind of thing. So I think he's still emotionally confused with Ahsoka's relationship with him. Then, like, does she think? Does she think that he's betrayed her by not coming with her, or it's all? And then, like I said, the clones actually, she's probably one of the trooper, one of the Jedi or Force users that clones actually fully respected, because I think they all respected all the Jedi and everything. But I think if anyone was so genuine, it would have been Ahsoka.
Definitely. And they grew up with her as well, especially the 501st. They saw her when she was quite little and went by Anakin's side, and they grew up between the whole Clone Wars and everything else. So I think they definitely had a stronger bond. And she was known to hang out with them, after the battle had ended. So that she made time for loads of different clones, and her and Rex obviously has a very famous relationship together and an amazing friendship. So I think she just definitely was one of those characters that just made sure to reach out to the clones.
Yeah. So
Now,
shall we get on with the next bit? So
yeah.
we obviously want to talk about the sequels. 'Cause obviously, we know you, Johnny. You're quite a fan of the sequels,
I love the sequels.
and then some people don't really like sequels.
Yeah.
So the question we probably want to ask is like, what do you like? What made you drawn to the sequels? Like, what did you like so much about it?
I think no matter what form of anything I watch or read or anything else, I'm always drawn to characters and character development. I think that's part of the reason why I love Ahsoka so much, because I literally grew up with the character. And I think one of the sequel's strongest points is the actual characters themselves, the character of Rey Skywalker, Finn, Poe, the sort of advancements they make on Princess Leia. I just love the characters so much. And listen, I understand people don't like them, and people have very fair criticisms of them, especially when it comes to the writing and the overall story of the saga. But for me, it is the characters that drive my love for the overall sequel trilogy, because I just think they're absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I think me personally, like with Ray's writing, I didn't like. And I like when I watched The Force Awakens, I so wanted to. I don't get me wrong, I don't dislike the character. I'd like the character in Force Awakens. I'm thinking, oh, this is the character I'm intrigued to. But I just think the writing for me, I just didn't agree with it. 'Cause even with the Last Jedi, I didn't agree with. I understand why people like Luke's portrayal. I mean, I think Mark Hamill's portrayal of Luke Skywalker. But for me, it's not what I wanted. And I'm not saying it's not what they want. It's not what they should have done. But it's just not what I wanted Luke. Because obviously we've seen Luke being Luke, and it kind of, in a way, it contradicts what he does, but at the same time, it doesn't. But I think for me, Force Awakens was probably my favorite because it was like I ain't seen Star Wars in what 10 years. I don't know if that's a guess. So I'm like, okay, we get to see some new characters, some old characters, and even I think Finn. I didn't think got enough respect as a character than other people should have. And I think seeing Finn as a rogue First Order trooper to become a Jedi was the perfect story.
I agree. And I hope to see Finn take on the role of a Jedi someday in the future because the character completely deserves it. I mean, flip, even Lego Star Wars are doing it in their animated shows. Like, it's time that the sequels and everything live action catches up and delivers on that aspect of the story because it makes complete sense. And his character was definitely shafted between almost each film, which was so upsetting to see.
Yeah, it was like, if you watch him in Force Awakens, he's volunteering to go to Starkiller Base to go rescue Rey because he wants to help and he really wants to save her. But then, in Last Jedi, they make it out that they're in a little bit of a difficult position and he wants to sort of jump ship and get away. And I was a little bit like this. I don't think this is what Finn would have wanted to do, but
Yeah.
What would you say your favourite moment in the sequels is then?
Oh, just in the sequels, that is a good question. I think my favorite, I think my favorite one is in Rise of Skywalker, which is even probably more polarizing than any of them, which I adore. In the final battle at Exegol, when Lando and Chewie come in and Poe finds everything is absolutely at a loss and there's no hope left at all, and Lando comes in with Chewie, and the whole saying is "there is more of us," and everybody comes in, and the music rises, and it's a classic theme, and it is one of my favorite Star Wars moments of all time because I think it encompasses everything that Star Wars is about, which at the end of the day, to me, is about hope and perseverance. And I think that scene just does it so beautifully within a matter of seconds. And it brings back one of the most iconic characters, Lando and Chewbacca as well, and the classic music to go along with it. And I just think it is absolutely perfect. I love that scene so much.
What's your favourite film out of the three?
Rise of Skywalker, for sure. I love the Rise of Skywalker. Rise of Skywalker would probably be, and people batter me online for this 24/7, but Rise of Skywalker I think is my second favorite Star Wars film overall. Um, in my top, it's number two, and I always love I love a good finale. So Revenge of the Sith is my first, Rise of Skywalker is my second, and then Return of the Jedi is my third. I just love that film so much. It is one of the perfect films to me, and I know so many people don't like it, but to me, it's just amazing.
I think my favourite scene in the sequels is again Rise of Skywalker, and I think it's because of the moment. I'd never forget this. I went and watched Rise of Skywalker in cinema, and it's the bit where Kylo goes to Exegol for the first time.
Oh,
and yeah. I was sat there in the cinema, and I hear "my boy." And when you hear that Palpatine sort of deep echo voice, like sort of echo round the cinema screen, I sort of had goosebumps because I was just like, we're seeing Palpatine again, but it was just like that whole bit just sort of gave me a little bit of goosebumps. So for me, that's my favourite scene in the series. What about you, Rory?
Yeah, I like a few of them. I like the fact that in Force Awakens we see Han and Chewie, and then Han goes, "Chewie, we're home," on the Millennium Falcon. I mean, that just shows whoever's watched the originals just see how much that ship means to both of them, and then obviously seeing Solo, we see how he gets it as well. But I would say, realizing, I think one of the best things that I liked and what I would prefer been better as well was obviously when Rey was obviously being communicated by the Force with a certain Jedi, and I think someone remade it where the Jedi were behind her, all the Jedi characters are behind her when she's fighting, when she's challenging Palpatine. And I think if we saw the Jedi's on the back as well, I think that would have been so awesome to see. Because even though we know the Jedi are behind Rey, at the same time, just seeing them all together, we could show how strong Palpatine is, even though he's weak. That Rey needs all the Jedi behind us to support her. But I think the worst line I'd say about Rise of Skywalker when Poe was like, somehow Palpatine returned. I mean, I think it could have been a better line.
Jonah,
than
what do
saying
you think
somehow.
about that? What do you think about that line?
I don't take much issue with it, and I understand how people do because I can see how it's a cheesy line. I personally really enjoy the return of Tate, and I think it makes a lot of sense. My issue with it, and I can see from a point of stand of a casual fan, is I think it's not a great thing when you have to do a lot of digging for it to make sense. So, as a big Star Wars fan, in my head, I completely understand why Palpatine has returned, and to
Yeah.
me, it actually makes a lot of sense that he would be cloning himself and he wouldn't just simply let himself die. That makes a lot of sense to me as a character. But I think the fall for it was not that it wasn't that Palpatine shouldn't have returned. It was that they didn't explain properly why he did return. I think that was the failure of the movie, really.
I think the main thing as well, obviously, like you said, obviously we knew if anyone knew Darth Plagueis, his main thing was to clone himself when he died. But obviously Palpatine, he got it from Plagueis, so he knew how to definitely do it. But I don't think Palpatine realized that he needed like a bloodline to make him stronger. I don't think cause he was still weak as a clone, but he was still really strong. But to reach the full power of being a clone, I think he didn't realize he needed the bloodline of Rey to get the full ultimate power.
Yeah.
And like I said, I don't think people realise why Palpatine's return made sense.
Yeah.
Because like I said, whoever knows Star Wars quite well knows why his return made sense. But like you said, I get why casual fans don't appreciate that. I just think, like I said, I think that line was a cheesy line. I just think they could do something better. Had a better line from that. That's my only downfall of that.
Yeah. I even think like the whole thing of Rey's father being a clone of Palpatine just, wasn't entirely well explained either. So
Yeah.
there's a few facets I think they definitely, it doesn't change the fact that I adore it because I do adore it, but I definitely I can understand when people have grievances with the film because there was obviously issues.
Yeah, well, how about we do ship of the week, Rory? Jonah, you've got a ship for us, haven't you?
I do. I believe you might have talked about it already, but my ship of the week, which is my brand new obsession, is the Naboo N1 Starfighter, but the Mandalorian version.
Okay.
I am a huge, I know we've just been talking about the sequels, but I am a huge prequels fan. It is what I grew up with. It is my favorite era in total of the Star Wars universe. And so, the Naboo Starfighter was obviously so, it was just so grandeur to see it on screen. The whole plot of the prequels was that, George wanted to have this almost 40s, 20s feel, super grand, super gold, very luxe. And I remember seeing the Naboo Starfighters for the first time and thinking they looked absolutely amazing. They were constructed by the the Naboo security guard system, and it was meant obviously as transportation for the security guy. So it was never anything extraordinary. But as a prequel fan, to see it come into, well, I guess it technically came into the book of Boba Fett, but really, Mandalorian, and to see the process of, just taking something from the past and making it fresh and new to fit the character of Mandalorian was, I just love almost innovations like that, and to see him and Peli, I believe, and you call Peli the what do you call it? I think it's Peli, but him and her working on it in the Book of Boba Fett was just absolutely fantastic, and I died off when I seen it. And I was like, I need that in Lego. And then Lego came out the next day with a set, and I was like, okay, great, I'm having it, and I pre-ordered it since. I'm still waiting for it. It hasn't come quick enough. But I loved how they modified the droid spot to be a space for Grogu. I think that was entirely adorable. How he completely stripped it and made it silver. The whole story about it being small and fast, and the contrast between that and the Razor Crest. Although I missed the Razor Crest loads because it was a beautiful ship as well. But I love this ship because of the sort of meaning behind it, in the sense that Star Wars isn't afraid to sort of be referential and go back on itself and, reference what once was, because I think sometimes they are bad for that and they want to move forward a lot, but there's so much us as fans love to see and love to connect the dots. And I think this was just such a cool connect the dot moment that I'm just so excited to see it in action and him and little baby Grogu flying about in the place.
Yep.
Is what I love about that ship as well. Obviously, like you said, they built it for Grogu to come onto that ship. It's almost like Mando knew Grogu was going to return, and I think that's what
Oh
made it
yeah,
more. That's what made it more special. That even though he's gone with Luke, he still deep down know that Grogu belongs to him now, belongs with him.
yeah.
And obviously, at the ending of the book of Boba Fett, we see him fly, and he's absolutely loving the speed. It's just
Yeah.
it's so good to see.
I think one of my little favourite bits of that ship is when he comes back from the test flight and she goes, "How is it?" And he goes, "Wizard."
Wizard. Yeah, that was amazing. Such a good
I
call.
really
back
enjoyed
there.
hearing that.
Yeah.
I think that's a good ship. I think you've chosen a really good ship for this.
I think no matter what, even the prequels and everything, like that ship would always be remembered as one of the iconic ship. But then now Mando's made it more iconic.
Yeah. That's true. He has, because it's, I mean, casual fans who don't know it that well will start to refer to it as Mandalorian ship again, like just like they did with the Razor
Yeah.
Crest. So it'll maybe get erased in that way. But I remember on Twitter, the day the episode came out, I was working and I didn't get to see it straight off the bat as soon as it had dropped. And I had seen on Twitter a picture of the ship, but somebody had titled it very elusively and didn't say, "Oh my goodness, this is Mandalorian's new ship." They had titled it as if like it was concept art and somebody had done it up as like a joke. And I was like, "Oh my goodness, wouldn't that be amazing?" I would absolutely love if they've done something ridiculous like that and brought in an old ship that he fixed up. I think that was such a good idea. I didn't even believe it when I'd seen it from my eyes the first time, and it came in the show, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, it is perfect! Such a good callback."
Yeah, definitely. I think we're definitely going to see a lot more of it in season 3, which I
Yes.
can't wait for.
So guys, we've got the Troopers of the Week. So I think Jonah, since you're the guest host, we'll let you start with your Trooper of the Week.
Okay, wonderful. I'm gonna give a little shout out to my good friend. Well, his internet name, I guess, goes by Scotty Holiday too. They are an absolutely amazing person, and they have been such a good friend to me. They do Star Wars videos. They're on Star Wars Twitter. They have an Instagram. They lead with a queer perspective, which I really obviously enjoy, and they do amazing little deep dives into different pockets of the Star Wars universe that they really think are important. And they just started up doing their YouTube channel again. And
I think that's really nice. A nice little shout out there. Rory, who you got this week?
Hang on, I've got to get his name up again. Bear with me.
Do you want me to do
Polsky,
mine? Or you got
no,
yours?
I've got it. His name is Polsky Hazar. I mean, I discovered on TikTok. I think he got a nice, cool Stormtrooper cosplay. There's some good ones, and I think I've seen this morning, shall I say, when Darth Vader obviously was in episode 3, he got his helmet on and said, Vader turns me on. I don't know, fair play. I think he turns us all on. Just seeing that mask on, you know what I mean? So, but even one thing I'm more jealous of is the fact that he's got the droid ship of Cooler Can. So obviously, I don't know if you've seen it, Jonah.
Yes.
oh, I did see that. I went
Yeah.
straight onto eBay to see if I could flip and find that thing. I love old prequels merchandise and
Yeah.
stuff like that's my favorite. I couldn't believe when I seen that. I was very jealous.
So Polsky Hazar, let us know where you got that from, because I think me, Will, and Jonah definitely want to buy it. So, but it's just done some decent videos with Stormtrooper cosplay, and I thought cosplay don't get enough credit. So he's my Trooper of the Week.
Another good choice. Mine was a little bit late in terms of finding it. I tried to get in touch with him, but he goes by the name on TikTok as Star Wars Fact Guy, right? And he comes out with some really interesting videos and content. He did a video, pretty sure it was last night or this morning, where he talks about all the Jedi that were written on the wall during that scene in episode 3 when Kenobi mentions Quinlan. And he mentions like 2 of them, all of them are sort of in Legends, and they've been brought into canon. I thought it was just a really clever and interesting, pick up for him to actually look at the Arabesh, translate it, and then find out the characters. And I was pretty impressed. So, Star Wars fact guy, you are my trooper of the week. So if you're listening, if one of his fans are listening, and tell him that he's our trooper of the week.
Yeah, I think another guy you're talking about. Yeah, I do like reading his TikToks. So I think we've got 3 good worthy trooper of the week. So congratulations to everyone.
But before we continue, I do want to read out a little surprise for this person. So if you guys remember, my trooper of the week last week was a guy called Clone Trooper Cam. Now, I sent him the link to the episode. He's got back in touch and said he's loved it. And then I received this message from him saying, I just finished listening to the new episode. I was literally smiling the entire time you guys were talking about your troopers of the week. Your shout out has genuinely been one of the best things I've had happen to me since starting my TikTok page. Please know you are always welcome to reach out to me, and I'm 100% keen to support your podcast or help in any way possible. You guys rock. Now, I wanted to say that message because that put a massive smile on my face when I was reading that, because this is the whole point we do Troopers of the Week. We want to share these guys out there for their amazing content, their amazing work that they do in terms of just having fun with the franchise. And I know Rory was saying this was such an amazing message to receive as well. And yeah, Cam, I know you're going to be listening because I'm going to be sending you the link for this. So well done, Cam. We can't wait to work with you in the future. I promise you that.
And it's like with all the troopers of the week that have had the decency to messages and listeners back, even with you, Jonah, we appreciate you obviously joining the podcast, but especially having a nice time to listen to our podcast, and we gave you recognition because we feel like you deserved it. So it's always good to hear you come back to us and appreciate what we do for you guys.
I appreciate it so much as well.
Right. Time for a little bit of fun now, isn't it?
Yeah, so
Yes, it is.
So what me, Will, and Jonah we talked about before we did this. We're going to take it in turns, do a 30-second timer. Obviously, guess the Star Wars character. So it's either a yes or no question. So I'll pick it. So Will, you do Jonah. Jonah, you do me, and then I'll do you, Will. And like I said, so for example, I'll go. If Will goes first to ask Jonah questions, 30 seconds. I'll time the 30 seconds, and then at the end of the 30 seconds, they get a chance to do a lifeline question. So Jonah can ask me to ask a question for Will that could possibly help him or possibly not help him. Could be a completely useless question, but we just thought we'd have a little bit of fun since it's getting close to the end of the podcast. So we thought we'd have a little bit of fun with Jonah. So let me know when you're ready, Will.
Right. Wait. What? Who's going first?
So I'm thinking of a character, and Will's going to guess who I'm thinking of.
Okay. So I've got 30 seconds to ask as many questions as I can.
Okay.
Let me know when you're ready, Will, and then I'll start the timer.
Right. I'm ready.
Let's go.
Male or female?
Female.
Jedi?
No.
Bounty hunter?
No.
Princess?
No.
Sith?
No.
Second.
I feel like she has some royal tendencies in her. She's not a princess, but she has a link to some higher up people.
Politician?
Yes.
Mandalorian?
No.
Time.
Oh, damn it. So I think I'm going to need a lifeline here. So I can ask Rory for a question, right?
Yeah, so you can ask me a question to ask Jonah.
Right. Rory, please can you ask a question to Jonah?
Okay, so Was she based in the Clone Wars timeline?
No.
Ooh. So Will, do you have an idea or?
Right. I thought I had an idea for a little sliver, but then that just went out the window. I'm gonna go for.
I think I have an idea, but I'm not sure. Okay.
I'm gonna take a random guess. Mon Mothra.
No.
Who was it, Jonah? Please tell us.
Harrison Dula from
Ah!
See, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking it, but I weren't too sure. I was thinking of someone else as well, but
Rebels. Cham Syndulla is a politician, isn't he? He's not royalty. He's some form of politician for Ryloth. He's not.
Yeah, he's like a
connection to Ryloth.
What do they call it? Freedom
He's
fighter.
not like king. Yeah, he's not like king of Ryloth or anything. I don't believe, but there's like a higher up connection there. I just couldn't link it in my head what it is, but I knew there was some form of connection. But I love her, and to see her in live action soon for the Ahsoka show, can't wait.
Right. So who's next?
I don't know if you want to go Will first. Do you want me to guess first, or do you want?
So you want to guess?
mine?
You want to guess my character?
Yeah, I feel like I want to guess your character.
Okay. Right. I've got one. So.
Okay, I'll start. So when you're ready, I'll start the timer. Okay, you ready?
Right. I'm ready.
Go. Are they a bounty hunter?
No.
Are they in the Clone Wars or
Yes.
the secret Clone Wars? Okay. Is it a Jedi?
Yes.
Has he been mentioned in the Kenobi show?
No.
Has he been killed in Execute Order 66?
Yes.
Was it a Jedi we saw in the temple?
No.
I know. I'm not. I'm not going to say it. I know what you're going to do, Will. I refuse to say
I know
it.
who it is.
I mean, Jonah, Rui, would you like Jonah to ask you a question?
No, I want Jonah to say the name. I'm not going to say it. So, Jonah, can you please tell me the name? Because I know we both know. I'm not going to say it.
Die.
Any ideas? Any ideas?
Carry Monday.
Jonah is correct. It was Kiadi Bundy.
I'm correct too, but I refuse to say the name. I told you.
See, I'm not accepting that point from Rory because he wouldn't say it.
See, as soon as I said Order 66, I knew exactly who you were going to say.
All right.
It wasn't working.
All right. What about if I do a serious one then for you, Rory? One more. I'll do one more, like a proper one, because I just knew you wouldn't say.
I'll take the win. I'll take the win. Me and Jonah win that again. So I made the game up. I changed the rules. So thank you, Jonah, for saying the name. I appreciate that.
Well, Jonah's the winner.
We're both the winners.
Somebody's now, or?
Yeah, you got to guess mine now, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, let me think of one. Okay, go. When you're ready.
Jedi or Sith?
Sith.
Male or female?
Male.
Are they in the Clone Wars?
Yes.
Are they human?
Say again, sorry?
Are they human?
No.
Okay. Is it Darth Maul?
Is that your final answer?
Sure, why not?
I was actually thinking of Savage Press.
No!
Oh.
I was half right. They're half brothers.
Yeah. I was thinking I was thinking at first I was like Darth Maul was like, you know what, I'll go Savage Press because people tend to forget about him, but people think, oh yeah, Darth Maul. So I was just trying to trick you, but I hope
you got me, you tricked me.
But
right, I'm going to do a fair one now. So this is for both of you, okay? So this is going to be a character, and you're both going to have to work out who it is, okay? And this will decide the winner.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Let me know when you're ready. Let me know when you're ready, and I'll start the timer.
hang on, let me just make sure I know my stuff about this character. I don't want to get it wrong. Right.
So shall me and Jonah take in turns to answer a question?
You can take it in turns to answer a question. So we'll start with Jonah, then Rory can ask a question, then back to Jonah.
Okay.
Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1, go.
Male or female?
Male.
Were they in the Clone Wars?
Yes.
Are they human?
Yes.
Are they Jedi?
Yes.
Were they killed in Order 66?
No.
Are they still alive to this day, as we know it before A New Hope?
Yes.
Do they have a green lightsaber?
No.
Did they leave the Jedi Order?
No.
Oh.
I'll give it to the after the Jonah. We'll give it to the. I have 2 more questions each. I think then we'll go for it.
Okay. Did they ever turn to the dark side?
No.
Were they a master or a Padawan at the time of Order 66?
Master.
Oh goodness, you're stumping me here. Master?
It's a pretty good one, actually.
It is a pretty good one. I'm trying to go through my head. Who didn't die in Order 66?
So are you gonna have one question each again, or are you just gonna have a stab in the dark each and see what happens?
I think we get one more question each. I think.
I'll go for one more question then. Did he turn to exile, or did he continue on being like a Jedi? Order 66.
Exile.
Okay. We said he was a Jedi, didn't we?
Yep.
Right. Okay. Do we see him in the originals or the prequels or the originals or sequels? Sorry.
So original or sequels?
Yeah.
Yes, as in you see him.
You see him.
Right. I need guesses now.
The only one I can guess is Obi-Wan Kenobi. That's it. The only one who comes to my head.
The other one I think of is Yoda.
Is that your final answers?
I think that's the only 2 I could think of.
I'm surprised you guys didn't see it, but it's Obi-Wan Kenobi.
That's what I said. I win.
Jonah wins. I mean,
I thought it was too obvious.
I thought with the Kenobi show, I thought I had to just.
I was the only option left. I was like, there's no other Jedi who is a master who survived.
That we know.
Well,
of.
Yoda did, but
yeah, I thought it was too obvious to be Obi-Wan, but clearly not.
I thought with the Kenobi series, I was like, I have to finish with this one.
It's very fitting.
So, guys, that's it for today's podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. I mean, Jonah, once again, we thank you for taking part and taking the time to join our podcast. We really appreciate it, and I hope you had fun.
Thank you, man. Thanks for coming on.
Oh no, thank you guys so much. I really, really appreciate it. I was so happy when you guys reached out to me because you seen my TikTok and was the Trooper of the Week and everything, and I really appreciate that little bit of support. So definitely, I just really appreciate it.
Yeah, and we're more than happy to have you on again at some point.
Oh yes, most definitely, hopefully.
So from me, guys, see you later, guys, and may the force be with you.
See you later, guys. From me, Will, for the Republic.
Bye, everybody. So fun to be here.